Unlearning fat phobia. This one we're about to dive into is huge. It is so huge. And I really want to be considerate of all the feelings. Obviously, with everything that I do, I want to be considerate of all the feelings that may come up with you because it is so important. And this was also one of the things that when I found out about these things, when I did my own research, all the things, it was like a light bulb, a mind blowing moment. And it was like the puzzle pieces came together as to why I am the way I am and why I, do the things that I do when it comes to diet culture, when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to my body image, when it comes to being a plus size woman, all these things. Why do I have these thoughts? Oh, they came from, society and things like that. So we're going to get into it. But I think, firstly, what is fat phobia? Sometimes people refer to it as anti fat. It's up to you as what you prefer. But basically, it's the dislike, the hate, the fear, the stereotypes surrounding people of larger bodies. So, fat people, plus size people, curvy people, whatever you want to be referred to as. Um, so I think it's important to point out that so many people aren't aware that they are fat phobic or anti-fat. It is just something that they kind of do and that they've kind of learned in society, but they're not aware of what they're doing. And likewise, I didn't know that I was fat phobic. There was an internalized fat phobia for me. I wasn't aware of this until I started doing research and things like that. And most people that aren't fat are actually scared of getting fat. So that's why, it's huge on the diet culture, on the wellness culture. And I think that this is something that we are taught unconsciously and consciously when it comes to media, when it comes to society. We're taught that thin equals being attractive. We're taught that thin is good, fat is bad, thin is healthy, fat is unhealthy, fat is ugly, thin is happy, fat is unhappy. And sometimes it's not like we're told this straight out, like to our faces, we're told this. It's more so just what is around us, the comments that are made, the things that are pushed towards us. If we look at, and I'm going to go through different types of media, right? But if we look at magazine covers, right, there is how to lose weight on the front of the magazine covers. There's before and after photos all the time. There's the new diets, whatever it is, the weight loss diets, the keto, all the things, right? There's celebrities. We shame celebrities on it. Oh, look at her before and look at her after. She's put on weight. There's a lot of fat shaming. There's always a page that has, a whole weight loss, and it's usually a weight loss story of how I used to be really unhappy and now that I'm thin, I'm really, really happy, right? So that's the narrative that's being pushed. A lot of body comparisons, the hottest people and, the hottest celebrities right now. And I could probably tell you that all of them are going to be thin, right? So it gives you that mindset that in order to be attractive, in order to be one of the hottest in the world, you have to be thin. So just from a magazine, just the magazine part alone, it already gives you the narrative, whether it's consciously or unconsciously, that you need to be thin to be loved, that you need to be thin to be attractive, that you need to be thin to be happy. You need to be thin to, like, why would you want to be fat? After seeing all of that, there's no reasons, there's no case of why fat is good. And also when it comes to weight loss, right, there's a praise. If somebody loses weight, it's a praise of, oh my gosh, amazing, you're inspiring, good on you, you look amazing now, all these things, right? And that automatically tells you that, when you lose weight, that you're attractive. When you lose weight, you look good. When you lose weight, you're good. When you lose weight, you're an inspiration, right? And then in life, your body fluctuates, your body changes, you gain weight, you lose weight, all the things. But when you do gain weight, you have all the shame and guilt around it because you're not inspiring anymore. You're not beautiful anymore. You're not pretty anymore. You're not attractive anymore. You're not good anymore, So it really fucks with your mental health, and it's a really bad narrative. And then it also tells you that, yeah, you're unhappy, you're unhealthy, you're all the things, right? So I think it's really important that when somebody has lost weight, you talk more about the feelings that they have, or maybe there's pain or something that's gone that used to be there and all these things, because we can fluctuate in weights. We fluctuate in weights our whole life, right? Up and down, all the things change. Our body changes, the looks changes, all the things. So really giving people compliments that don't have anything to do with what they look like, more about their character. I also want to talk about maybe people you look up to, whether it be like rappers, models, Instagram, social media influencers, all these kinds of things, right? There's really that push where there's a sexualization of these women, and usually they're thin, big butts, big tits, all the things, flat stomach. usually body types that are unattainable. Like it's not, sometimes it's not even their real body, right? But they're thin, right? And they're sexualized. We have this desire to want to be sexualized, right? To be want to be attractive, to want to be wanted. You want to be wanted, right? So these kinds of music videos or, things in social media and stuff like that, they tell us that in order to be desired, in order to be sexually attractive, in order to be wanted, you have to look like this. You have to look like these really unrealistic body and beauty standards, right? I also want to point out that the reason why I'm telling you about, fat phobia and how there's so much anti-fatness rooted within the world, right? It's not to make you feel sad, it's not to make you feel upset, because sometimes those feelings come up and they may be coming up for you right now. Anger. I was so angry when I found this out. How dare they think this, How dare society do this to us, kind of thing, right? But firstly, one of the reasons why I want to share this is because I want you to, become aware, because if you're aware, you can change, right? And a lot of this is rooted in us. So we need to unlearn this. Now, I also want to talk about the news, because I know a lot of people watch the news. I personally don't, but on the news, there is a real dehumanization of the fat bodies. Whenever these things come up about the obesity epidemic and all this kind of shit, right? People take news for gospel, and I think that's really, really damaging, and really, really bad for your mental health as well, because it isn't gospel. And a lot of statements when it comes to bigger people and the obesity epidemic, a lot of them have actually been retracted because they were false, or they were inaccurate, or they were, really just not true. So it's really important when you see these headlines, whether you see these headlines in the media, fat people are dying, there's so many fat people dying in 2023, or whatever the fuck it is that comes up. Do your due diligence. Do your due diligence. Do your due diligence. Do your due diligence. Fuck, I try to do these expensive words. You know what I'm. Do your due diligence. Due diligence. You know what I mean, right? Back check it. Look it up. Do the research. All the things. I'm heavy on this. And a lot of times when people bring these headlines to me, whether it be about fat people or whatever it is, I'm always looking it up. Is it true? Most of the time, it's not true. So we really need to look into these headlines, because they are clickbait. They're a business. They need the clicks on it. They need the views. They need the engagement, all that kind of stuff. But I think as well, when it comes to the news, they dehumanize people. They cut off their heads and just show their bodies. So that already tells us that being fat is shameful. I'm not going to show their whole face, because, there's so much shame around it. They zoom in on their stomachs or whatever, really bad lighting, all the things, right? And it's because they want to portray it as bad. If we think about movies as well, there's always that funny fat person. There's a lot of fat jokes, sarcasm, the funny fat friend, the one that's lonely, the one that has no romantic interests, or they're obsessed with losing weight, right? There's either that funny, or then they're like that evil villain. So then it's portrayed as bad again, right? So it's like we can't take these fat people seriously, right? They're the butt of all jokes, or they're the villains and they're the bad people. The fat shaming, the thinking that fat is funny, right? And if that already isn't sad, it's even in our children's movies and cartoons. There's negative messages about being overweight. And studies have shown that overweight cartoon characters are really depicted of that unattractive, that unhappy, that cruel, that bad, unintelligent. And I remember seeing this about a Bluey episode, right? There was a Bluey episode that kind of blew up and was over the news. That Bluey was, no, I think it was Bluey's dad. I don't watch Bluey, but Bluey's dad had stepped on the scales and kind of fat shaming himself in front of Bluey, like saying, "Oh, I've put on weight, I need to go exercise," all these things, right? So that really, shows it kind of tells our kids, already that, being fat is not okay. There's fat shaming already. It's in the freaking cartoons. And I believe it's at 5 years old when children start to realize their body image and really have those body image issues. For me, it was 6 years old when I really realized that. There's so many things. There's Peppa Pig. If you watch Peppa Pig, the Peppa Pig always shames the dad for his tummy, and he like gets mocked from the whole family and that kind of stuff. There was actually, and I might link it below, Fierce Fatty actually uploaded, so many cartoons where these, fat narratives, fat shaming, all that kind of stuff was really rooted into all these movies and stuff. So I'll link it below if you want to check that out. And I want to talk about thin privilege privilege as well, because research has shown that there are benefits for people who are more thinner, especially social benefits as well. So there is things like, if you're thinner, you're more likely to make friends. You have, you can go into a clothing store and get whatever clothes you want. And thin privilege really talks about the fact that a lot of thin people don't actually realize that fat people are treated differently. When people are attracted to you, they care about you more, right? There's that whole pretty privilege. And fat has been taught that it is not pretty. Fat equals not pretty. So pretty privilege also includes the fact that you'll have more job opportunities and success because of the way you look. And it has been reported that fat people earn less, they are less likely to be employed, or are more likely to remain unemployed. So I feel like there's so many assumptions around this, right? There's the whole assumption that if you are thin, it means you are healthy automatically. If you are fat, it means that you are unhealthy automatically. And that's just not true. If you're thin, it means you're well disciplined. It means you care about yourself. It means you have high self-esteem. And then if you're fat or if you're plus size, it's the opposite. It means you don't care about yourself. It means you have low self-esteem. It means that you're not disciplined. And there are athletes that are fat, and there are thin people who are unhealthy. So after everything I've just said, and I know it's a lot, right? Like, who wants to be fat? Hands up if you want to be fat after everything I've said, right? A lot of us don't. And it makes sense why you would not. And I'm actually not done here. Like, there's so much more, right? There's fat phobia in the medical industry, right? No matter what's wrong with you, if you go into a doctor's office as a fat person, they will tell you to lose weight. Everything will be better if you just lost weight. And studies have shown that, when fat people have a problem, 35% of them delay the care, 75% of them don't even go to the doctors because they're embarrassed, and 65% say, oh, I'm going to lose weight first. Research has also shown that doctors spend less time with fat people, and this often causes a misdiagnosis. And I've read so many things around this. There was one lady that kept going in because she kept having problems, right? She kept having problems. Every time she went in, she got told, if you lost weight, you'd feel better. If you lost weight, it's the cure, lose weight. And over time, they actually found out that she had cancer, and it was too late. She ended up passing away. So shit like this is just, it's so, so heartbreaking. But there's, like, fat phobia is rooted in so many things. It's rooted in the beauty standards. You have to be thin to be beautiful, all these, it's actually really unattainable standards on the beauty standards. There's fat phobia in genders as well. How often does Lizzo get backlash for promoting obesity, which she doesn't, but that's what, the headlines and shit like that says. But DJ Khaled, he gets nothing. She gets told all the time that she needs to lose weight. And she's probably one that you can look up to that is clearly doing really well. She runs laps when she performs. She sings, she performs, she dances, she does all the things. She eats well. You see her training, doing all the things, and she's a big girl. And there's also fat phobia in relationships, right? The guy should be smaller than the lady. And if she is bigger than him, then she must have a really good personality or something like that, right? And sometimes we make these own judgments as well. But the basis of me telling you all these things is that so we can unlearn it as well, so that we can be aware of what's around us and why we think these ways about ourselves, that fat is not okay, fat is ugly, I need to lose weight, all the things. This is the reason why. This is the reason I'm telling you. And all these things, I'm also going to put links below. There's a beautiful lady, Alicia McCarville, I think, and her husband Scotty. She always gets backlash on, that she's bigger than him or that he's hotter than her and all these things, and why is he with her and all this shit. She's one of those people that you should follow as well. She's freaking amazing. There's also fat phobia in fashion, right? Sometimes we can't even find our sizes in stores, or we go to stores and they're hidden. We're not represented in the fashion industry. We're told, big girls can't wear tights. You can only wear tights if you look a certain way. There's certain things that you can't wear, those yoga pants and all that kind of shit. And this actually happened as well when I was going to Cotton On, released their plus size range or whatever. And I had gone to one store and got in my pants in my size from the plus size range, which was just a little range. It's usually a little part of their store, right? Which doesn't even make sense because the average woman is a size 14 to 16. So why wouldn't you have more of those sizes, right? If that's what the average woman is in Australia, by the way. But I went in and then I was like, hey, where's the plus size range? They're like, oh, we don't stock it here. We don't stock it in store. It's online only. What does that tell us? Means they don't want these plus size people in their store. They don't want to show, plus size people that they cater to these fat people, right? Another thing is the whole BMI fucking bullshit. BMI was based on old white men, and it was created in the 1830s. It wasn't even made for health in the first place. It was made for statistics. And doctors have also gone on to say that a large percentage of people who had a normal BMI were unhealthy, and those that were overweight were healthy. There's actually so many things wrong with the BMI system. If you look it up, it's based on men only. It's based on, just one type of person, a white person, very straight up and down kind of thing. It's not taken into account so many other things, and it wasn't even used for health in the first place. So I would just not even worry so much about the BMI, but you can't tell a person's health from BMI. So stop assuming when your doctor says that. Please disregard. Like, that don't mean shit. Now, this has been a lot, and I really just want to emphasize the fact that the reason that I'm telling you all of this, and it may bring up a lot of emotion, there may be a lot of emotion there, whether it be sad, anger, whatever the things. The reason why I'm telling you this, because a lot of the times, as fat people, as plus size people, we think that we're the problem. We think that we need to lose weight to fit into these beauty standards, to fit into society, that if we lost weight, everything would be okay, that, all these things. And these are the things that society, that, everyone has told us. So no wonder we think this way. So the reason I want to highlight it is because, firstly, these are things that we need to unlearn. If we don't believe them, if we don't want to mess with them, if they're not helping us, if they're not helping our body image, if they're not helping the way we see ourselves, if they're not helping our mental health, then we need to disregard them. And then secondly, we need to create our own beliefs. We've been pushed on this huge message, but we need to create our own beliefs on what our beauty ideals look like, on what attractive looks like, on what healthy looks like, on what, all these things look like. We need to stop taking all this information from other people, and we need to figure it out for ourselves, right? So I'm not telling you all of this stuff to disempower you, to make you feel shit. I'm telling you all of this stuff to empower you and to make you feel in control, right? Because where there's awareness, there's change, and you can take control of this shit. So if there's a lot coming up for you, I would highly, highly recommend that you come into the Facebook group and talk to us about it, share how you feel. You might want to get coaching with me on our next coaching call around it. But I really want you to know this is for empowerment. Whatever feelings that are coming up for you, they are totally okay. And I see you and I hear you and I feel you, sis.